Hey, good morning, everyone. It is Sunday morning, September 29th. Just want to take a look at a couple of updates for you to be aware of that may help you along. NinjaTrader 8 update as well as Shark Indicators platform updates. Recommend that you update to the latest version 8.1.13.19, 13.19. And it is now working wonderfully. So I'm enjoying testing, and everything's working so well. So far, so good. And then there was a more updated version last month, earlier last month, that you may want to look at. So these two recent updates seem to have the platforms humming along. And on Ninja 8 have some really exciting updates. First, options are now available, so contact your broker and see if you have access to options, and then you can get that added to your platform, order your data for it. Also, the order flow tool has been, indicator has been updated substantially. Now you can do the horizontal calculations for delta and put the candlestick in the middle, which this is really big improvements. So you can see the volume node on the outside for the bar and get a really visualization of how that data is flowing through. Also, VWAP enhancements, you might want to read about that. There's also color coding and access to plots between the various standard deviations away from the main VWAP level that you might find good. Also, FX correlations is new. A new indicator for that for your FX traders, but check this out, both new platform updates. Going into some just the math behind the LRT lines indicator, the linear regression trend lines, what linear regression does is price will expand away from the band, the line, a certain ATR distance, and then snap back to the line, okay? So it expands out and contracts back to, it acts like a market maker. So this is exactly what a market maker would do. Price expands out, then the market maker sends it back into the price, and the market makers are all based on these standard deviation ATR levels. So now that we can track and see how far price is moving across various time frames, we know where price is going to end back up. We can project that out in the future and plan our entries accordingly. Get it? Okay. And then you can take that down to a lower time frame and see where you are, because this indicator is fractal. Price is fractal. So price is going to expand out a percentage calculation that is basically the same across all time frames. So when you get to these outer levels and you see price responding to that ATR level, it likely will come back to the LR line and then to the main mother of all indicators across all levels, right there, your trend line, and then go back in the direction of the trend. So when you see the bottoms stop reacting at the edges, so there's the outside edge, then you're one level up, and now you're two levels up. You see that from the bottom? Price is not moving down anymore, it's moving up. So until that level breaks with the close below, you're moving up. So just seeing where you are on the bands across these time frames and see how price is actually moving is very, very helpful. I love the 15-minute chart. Thank you, Eddie Horn, for turning me on to the 15-minute chart several years ago. I see why he likes trading it intraday, and it is very, very informational and instructive on what we can do with the linear regression levels and the 15-minute chart, and where we are with that compared to the overall higher time frame trend and the strategy that we're trading. Basically, the strategy has been the LRT opening range lines, and that's what I'm staying with. The opening range has a 60-minute level and a 1-minute level, the way I trade it. So staying outside these levels, as well as Globex, knowing where your prior Globex range was. What I've been able to do to add to this is tell me how far to expect price to go during the RTH session, range-wise, with my new indicator, the PTO indicator. So the PT system is based on profit targets, opportunities, and risk, based off of a custom morning session time period, and that will tell me generally what to expect per ATR for that time period, price, distance to go, and then I slice that up into 3 levels to hit that target. So I can take a smaller percentage chunk out of it, up and down, for targets to trade to. So once I know how far I'm looking to go and in an overall trade direction, I can put the chart back up and look for 3 points, 6 points as targets on 5-minute bars before I get that snapback. And the snapback can occur in the direction of the trend. So that's what we're looking to identify, are these snapbacks in the direction of the trend. And that's why the PTO is so well. So you can take these 3-point, 6-point targets off the close. See how it works? So 3 times 4 is 12. See if I can get this small enough to hit 12. There, that's close enough. See how small that is? So there's 3 points, and then here's 6 points. 24. Oops. It's 26. So you see it's better to trade to the second target, PTO2. Well, I will have to work on getting exact calculations, but there you go. So that's what you want from the close of the entry. Each time you get a close inside this bar. So there's your close. There was your first profit target here. Target hit, you actually got a second signal, so that would be another scale in opportunity. Second target hit and second signal. And so you just keep going and you have the same amount of risk. So that's how we are going to be, and then every time it comes back into the line, every time it comes back into the LRT lines that we'll use, we can take an additional scale in at that point also. We don't have to wait for a bar close. That's going to be the ideal trading strategy. So we'll have multiple strikes at that PTO. So when do we know to stop trading, right? When do we know we've made enough, or how do we know to keep going and to keep pressing it? Well, that's up to your monthly goals. That's something that you'll have to decide for yourself. How far do you want to take it? When do you want to stop? One way to understand maximum opportunities is to understand what the range is overall for that 5-minute close. And so you can see about 10 points, 975 points. If you got 40 ticks off that close, 10 times 4 is 40, right? So here's your first close here. Let's just say you entered here, you want to go 40 ticks max. And then just stop trading unless it comes back to the LRT lines. So thereabout, and you see that it did get the target, but much later because it needed to continue. Oops. Let me get all these maps off just a second. Okay, so it did get the target, but much later in the session, because that was a much larger trade. But I think that you need monthly goals myself, and this is how I do it for myself. I'm not interested more in the longest excursion trades. I'm more interested in what that LRPTO 1 and 2 are going to be, and I can control the threshold amount, so I know a lot more about bending that signal and how to make it exactly precise, and then just lather, rinse, repeat, and get more profit target juice, as I like to say. So once you get a good signal, instead of being timid about it and just putting 1 or 2 or 5 contracts on, go ahead and ramp it up. You might as well, instead of waiting to just get the minimum amount. If you have a strong signal, excuse me, sorry about that, go ahead and go for go for it and test that out. It won't affect anything. The strategy is either going to work or it's not. So your risk tolerance, you should just, whatever that is for yourself individually, you might want to consider pushing that out according to other factors that you're working with. You might be in the top step combine, which requires extreme discipline. So you might have a scaling plan, for instance, that you're trying to get through, which is perfectly well. That way you're able to test the strategy out on those lower amounts to make sure it's viable. So you can have the lower levels, and once you get through the testing and through that process and you get an algo funded, put it on the web, through Collective 2 or something, and start monetizing your strategy, your funded strategy. You might want to go ahead and push the envelope up as you get the ability to put a little bit more risk on with your account size. So just keep in mind your tick tables and what you're always shooting for. Then take that out to a further level and take it out to the nth degree and understand for the instrument you're trading what the goal is per trade. And then try to understand what your strategy places an average trade, how many trades on average does your strategy execute, and what is your percent profitability, and then you can break it down and try to formulate your risk parameters. Maybe that would help you. So again, having everything put together with the market analyzer. Let me put the market analyzer on the chart real quick. So you can see now the market was going towards the end of the day where it flattened out, everything goes to zeros, but during the day, this board lights up like a Christmas tree and very visual, red or green, telling you where you are at any given moment, and it gives you these PTO opportunities that I showed you from the spreadsheet. So I can download these PTO, I can export it to a spreadsheet, and right here, export. And so export those rows out, and you can create your own spreadsheets like I have, giving me the exact levels. And then you can go in to your chart, and I'll show you in the trade room how to add those levels as lines to your chart. I send the levels out in the morning for the ES and crude. So we'll know what our PTO 1-2 target is for the session that we're trading, and then we take into that account the PTO 1-2, the overall ATR for the time period, and try to go in and capture, you know, 2 or 3 profit targets within each signal. Okay, so we'll see you next week in the trade room. Don't forget, track the trades on Collective 2, and you can see that on the website. I recommend that y'all listen to this Kyle Bass interview, very interesting. Collective 2, so the strategy is so great, why are we posting it? To perhaps allow hedge funds and money managers to follow the trades. Well, it's just read that. It's because it's available, and it also tracks, it validates the strategy. So this is where I am from last week. Started, trading a little bit last week, brand new. So starting out the strategy, my goal is to get it completely automated and in a cloud in the near future. And everything seems to be working well so far. You can sign in and then check it out. But you can also put your own strategies on Collective 2, like I am with the NinjaTrader platform. And then you can track your performance, and eventually within like a month or two, start getting a track record. People might start following your trades if you're, followable. If the strategy is not you, the strategy, we're just posting a strategy. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the trade room. Y'all have the great rest of your day.